I need to talk about. Get that guy up here. That's awesome. Oh my, I forgot I need these. I'm getting so old. Well, thank you. This is my third time here, so thank you so much. I love coming out and seeing you guys. You're amazing. So this is the first time I heard a scoreboard around what I don't know if they were trying to correct mistakes. I don't know, fact checking from CNN. Which is ironic if you think it through. Fact inventing, I guess, from CNN. But anyway, obviously to all our veterans here, thank you so much for your service. I wore my shirt, freedom is not free. We owe you a great debt, of course. And so last time I was here, I checked my notes. I talked about CRT. It's a couple of months back. I'm a prophet. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we talked about CRT. And if you recall, I looked at you and I said, I explained, the seriousness of it, but then I said, make sure you know, CRT is dead. It's politically dead. It's already been defeated. We just got to wait around for the next election to really fully bury it. And you guys did. Boy, Manheim Township and all, you guys did. Big time. Big time. And this is just the beginning. I mean, and I'm going to try to show that to you today. This is just the start of it. Obviously, at the center of the whole theater over the last 10 days has been Virginia, which, it's not even fair to call it purple anymore. For the last 5 governors were all those commie bastards, right? They were these Democrats, and it really has gone blue, and that's just because of Northern Virginia primarily, and just literally the bussing in of all the bureaucrats that have been living up there. And what happened in Virginia was stunning. And you could see it on MSNBC. I know it's wrong. I know I have pastors in this room. I know it's wrong to rejoice over their hardships and their temper tantrums, but I couldn't help myself. Joy Reid is so entertaining. I love Joy Reid. I'm going to get a Joy Reid pillow. I mean, just every time she opens her mouth, the borderline imbecility is just so amazing. But and then matched by some others, and but you saw it. You saw it. I think it was Larry Sabato of the Crystal Ball, University of Virginia, who's become a hardcore leftist. He's just outed himself. Just the day before the election on Monday, he saw these trends going in the direction of Youngkin big time. And he said, if Virginia does vote for Youngkin, he never knew that, it was going to be the lieutenant governor and it was going to be the attorney general and the Virginia House and this massive suite landslide. But he said, well, if they do vote for him, it's because, it's because of the racism that pervades in Western Virginia and Southern Virginia, all among the uneducated Hicks. I love the scene in Braveheart, and I was even going to play it at one point of where he shows up and all the Scotsmen are standing there in their tattered kilts and they're menacing sticks, ready to fight the greatest army that the world had ever seen, the professional English army, and they're all mocking him and they're all ridiculing him, you dolts, you donkey herders, and all that. And the way Braveheart, William Wallace, stood in front of them and said, sons of Scotland, I'm William Wallace, and I see before me a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. And I just love that line, because can you imagine what he could have said when he said, and I see, the sorriest excuse for an army I ever imagined in my life. I see a bunch of hicks, I see a bunch of, knuckle draggers, and he could have seen them the way the English saw them, the way their enemies saw them, but he didn't. He saw them through the eyes of a hero. And as a hero, he saw men who came, free men who came in defiance of tyranny. And he was so proud to fight alongside of them as they stood together as free men in defiance of tyranny. That's what happened last week. Free men stood up and said no more. Yes. Yes. And this wasn't in Texas. This wasn't in Tennessee. This wasn't in Mississippi. It wasn't in Florida. This was in New Jersey. I got 2 words for you. Edward Durr. Edward Durr, I mean, this is even bigger than the governor if you think it all the way through, defeated probably the most powerful senator that Jersey has seen in decades, Steve Sweeney, the president of the Senate. Jersey, there you go. Yeah, my business partner over there, born and raised in Jersey. You can tell if you talk to him for about 3 seconds. You've got to be from Jersey. And then watch him drive. No, especially around horse-drawn wagons. And Jersey boys don't know what that's all about. But yeah, it's so fascinating because, as you probably heard, Ed Durr spent a total of how much on his campaign? He filmed his campaign commercial, which is awesome, on his iPhone. He's a Harley driving truck driver, and David brought down this Goliath. And he couldn't believe it. Steve Sweeney couldn't believe it. He refused to concede for so long. He was like, no, and did you hear? I found some more votes, he actually said. I found some more votes. They're in the back of my van, I promise. They're real. I did them all myself, I promise. Well, he did concede. I don't know if you heard that. He finally conceded, and now Edward Durr is now a senator of New Jersey. In one of my favorite interviews, I think it was Tucker Carlson, asked him, so what are you going to do on your first day in Trenton? And Ed Durr looked at him and said, I have no idea. I'm just going to go there. I'm going to learn the ropes. But I know one thing. I'm going to represent my constituents. I'm not going to rule them. And then we also had Texas also had an election in a San Antonio district that has been blue for decades, 75% Latino. And one of the patterns that we've been seeing over the last 4 months is that these border districts that are 75, 80% Latino are all flipping. They're all turning red, virtually every single one of them. As a matter of fact, Youngkin, in some exit polls, won a majority of the Latino vote in Virginia. And we're finding he did very well among Gen Xers, he did very well among millennials. As a matter of fact, Virginia has 133 counties. He gained the Republican share of votes in all but 6 counties. And all those 6 counties, of course, are up in northern Virginia. This was a stunning victory. Absolutely stunning. And then, of course, they swept. They have now Winsome Sears as their lieutenant governor. And as you know, Winsome Sears is the new face of white supremacy. This amazing Marine, this black Marine, is the new face of white supremacy. But that's according to people who believe Rachel Levine is actually a woman. So, it's all fluid, man. It's all fluid, yeah? So what's going on here? What's happening? What are we seeing happen right before our very eyes? Was it a fluke? There you go. Look at Tabitha. Tabitha, you rock. Yeah, is it a fluke? Is it a one-time thing? Or is this a harbinger for 2022, 2024, and beyond? Yes. Well, imagine if I came here and said, no, it's a fluke. No, you're all wrong. It's never going to happen again. Just, build your bunkers and move on, right? No. What we're seeing happening here is, in point of fact, nothing less than what scholars believe to be a new politics emerging. There's a new politics emerging. And there is a new political subject to this new politics, meaning every political paradigm has an agent around which all the politics revolve. So in communism, it was class, right? In cultural Marxism, it's race. Interestingly enough, in Nazi fascism, it was race, right? And in Western globalism, it's this radical sovereign individual, that kind of thing. We have a new politics that's rising today. And do you know who they say, scholars are actually saying, is the new political subject? Patriots. I'm looking at them. And they're beautiful. They say words like "commie bat." I'm gonna hear that my whole ride home into Delaware. Yeah, commie bat. I love it. And he is. That's the truth. I mean, it's absolutely true. What they're noticing is the reason why we feel like the world's going nuts right now is because it is. Okay? That's not a perceptual delusion. It really has gone nuts. The clashes that we're experiencing right now are they're unprecedented. And if you think it through, the controversies, the fault lines that we're facing is not between this policy versus that policy. It's not between this issue versus that issue. It's not even between this party versus that party. The controversies, the clash that we're facing is not something within society. It's over society itself. It's not over something in America. It's over what it actually means to be American. It's not a border conflict or issue. It's a question of whether we ought to even have borders. It's not over this election or that election integrity. It's over the whole issue of what is a legitimate election. I find it so fascinating. You know, they call it the big lie. And they call it the big lie about November 3rd. And they call it the big lie because they say it undermines the legitimacy of our democratic institutions. These people who talked Russia for 3.5 years and 30 million wasted dollars are lecturing to us that we're undermining the electoral system. And then you read their articles about election integrity laws that are being passed. And what do they call them? Voter suppression, racist voter suppression laws. And now what you find, see, I read the far left-wing sites, Salon, Slate, so you don't have to. So it is my burden. I'm working towards sainthood. I am a martyr here. I pray for liberals all over the world. But when you read these websites, I kid you not, they're panicked. They're panicked. And they should be. Oh yeah. After Virginia, they're really panicked. You know, any of you buying, bunker material, you're going to see these far left hippies right next to you going, "Hey man, you got to show me how to do this." It's like, the old joke, how do you know a hippie robbed your house? He's still there when you get back. Yeah, they are panicked. And they literally believe right now they're seeing the beginning of the end. And the way they're thinking it through, it's fascinating. Trump has taken over the Republican Party because he's taken over the money, right? So what's his PAC? Save America PAC. Save America PAC has twice the amount of money as the RNC, Republican National Committee, right? So now, because remember, the RNC is going to give money to Liz Cheney. The RNC is giving money to Lisa Murkowski, okay? And he's going to give money to those third, well, 2 of them are retiring. So those 11 turncoat Republicans that saved Nancy Pelosi. That bill would have fallen apart. The far left Marxists weren't going to vote for it. So that bill would have fallen apart. So once again, Republican rhinos came to save Democrats from sure defeat. So Trump is taking over the party because he's taken over the money, number one. And then number 2, he's instructing via a shadow presidency to get local Republicans and state Republicans to pass voter suppression laws that are setting up for a massive 2022 tsunami that's then going to coronate the return of the king. and I'm reading this and I'm going, that's my next video. Sounds good to me. This is commonplace. I mean, what's his name? Bob Acosta, Jim Acosta. Isn't it Jim? I call him Acosta because he's more of a heckler than a reporter, right? So Jim Acosta has even called it a soft coup. That's what's happening right now. Trump is going to return. They actually had a guess. It says, there's no way, we can't prevent it. Trump is coming back, and there's nothing we can do. The Republicans have the Republicans have created electoral conditions where Democrats cannot win. This is the way Democrats are talking. And then I hang out Republicans, all is lost. And I'm like, dude, are you reading these left-wing sites? Our enemy is scared to death of us right now. And I'll be very blunt with you, it's even worse than they think. Oh, I should have worn that shirt. I got one there. I'm all for LGBT rights. Let's go Brandon rights, man. Yeah, right. LGBTW in front of let's go Brandon Trump 1. So what we have to understand is we have a new politics emerging. And if you recall, I don't know how many of you here were here when I was here two times ago. We talked about 4 trends that are all, as I hold up 3 fingers, I haven't been in a university classroom in a long time. There you go, yeah. But my students would immediately go, hey, Professor Turley. And I'll be like, shut up. 4 trends that are moving the world, the entire world. It's not just here in the United States. It's going on in Europe. It's going on in India, Russia, you name it. The whole world is moving toward a more nationalist, populist, and traditionalist world. All right? And one of the elements of that we talked about is the death of the old modernist kind of Cold War world and the eventual, very organic movement to what's called a postmodern world, which certainly has its own issues and its own problems, but one of the things it's doing is it's awakening a new kind of tribalism, a new kind of nationalism, where more and more populations have had it with a one-size-fits-all political and economic system, and instead they're embracing nation, culture, custom, and tradition. This is why secession is so big today. 35 nations have been added to the world's map since 1991. The world's map hasn't broken apart like that in ages. And so secessionist movements are happening because the world is basically cracking up from its old modern order. So any attempt to try to superimpose this one-size-fits-all solution on anything, whether it's the environment or whether it's vax or whatever it is, inevitably ends up falling apart. And that inevitably ends up crumbling. That's the new politics that's breaking in. And the new politics that's breaking in requires a new political subject. And the new political subject is the patriot. And again, not just here, but all around the world. I don't know how many of you have seen the constant vax demonstrations in Paris. They have not stopped in 20 weeks. They're the new yellow vests, basically. They're getting bigger and bigger, and they've had it. There was a party, a political party that won in Madrid, some local elections that they had in Madrid, mayor and everything like that. And their slogan was freedom or communism. And they were a freedom party, and they were an anti-vax mandate party, and they won in a landslide.